For this episode, we want to highlight Hi-Fi Cookies. Sean and his team use inspiration from childhood treats and a love of music to make distinct cookies and milkshakes. You can find their cookies at their East Nashville and Donaldson locations. Follow them on Instagram at Hi-Fi Cookies. Welcome to another episode of the Nashville Dads. For this episode, we have on musician Wesley Dean. We talk about moving from Australia to America during the pandemic, the drive to challenge yourself, the beauty of RCA Studio A, and his new album, Music from Crazy Hearts. We hope you enjoy. Here's the first question I have for you. So if we were to meet up in person, I normally give every guest a baked good as a thank you for coming on. So I have a friend who is also from Australia. I'm not sure which city, but he told me, is it Lamingtons? Is that like one of the most popular Australian baked goods?
Yes, Lamingtons used to be one of my favorites as a kid growing up. They're like a square-looking cake with chocolate icing all over it with coconut flakes, like a little coconut. Yeah, is that what you say? Coconut flakes all over it, and so they're dipped in coconut flakes, I guess. And it actually reminds me of my nana, old Lamingtons, because I grew up in Adelaide. For my first 15 years, I grew up in Adelaide, and Adelaide was really the only place that wasn't settled. I think I'm right. It wasn't settled by convicts back in the day. Okay. Adelaide was more like, you know, the Queen's city. You know, like it's sort of more like a royal, the very high upper class. I think that's what the history of Adelaide is. I'm really stuffing this up right now, but and so Lamingtons and those kind of things, I guess, kind of came out of the old English high tea, back in the day. And I think it's in Adelaide. I think they're definitely the lineage of Lamingtons. Now there's a sentence. The lineage of Lamingtons are from Adelaide. There you go.
That's awesome.
That's a lyric. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is funny. It's kind of like if you go to like somewhere in Central America or South America, there's the very almost like Americanized, like, if you're here visiting, stay here. Don't go into the riffraff out of here. That sounds kind of like what Adelaide was set up as.
Yeah, exactly right. And it took me, I moved from Adelaide to Sydney when I was 14. It took me only 14 years to go over to the riffraff in Sydney and start playing rock and roll. I was playing pub gigs at 14 years old in Sydney and joining my people. Yeah, I was.
That's right.
That was the start of the chaos that has been my life.
Yes. How long have you been doing music for now?
Well, I'm 41, so a long time.
Whatever that math is.
I never, I should ask my oldest boy. He's better than maths than I am. He's in grade 5 now, and he's already killing it. But yeah, it's been a long time, over 20 years, and and through all I started when people were still listening to CDs, and I was handing out CD and cassette tapes as demos.
Yes.
So that's. Yeah.
However many years old that is, I still have my in high school I had my I always called it my CD Bible, where it's like the big CD case, and I would almost open it and be reverent for every single page. I can't part with it. I still have it in my closet somewhere.
Yep. Tell me if you grew up in the 90s without telling me you grew up in the 90s, kind of thing.
Basically, yes.
Every car, my friends who had cars at 16 or 17, every car you'd get into would have those things in the glove box, the old CDs, and you're fumbling around, and it's crazy. Yeah, it's much easier these days.
It is, just to speak into your car, hey Siri, play this song, and suddenly it pulls it up. I mean,
wild. It's wild.
Compared
it's wild
to
these days.
Even had like the CD visor thing, it was on like the sun blocker up ahead, and you'd have like 3 CD stuffed into what only should be 1 slot right there. Yeah,
and some of them fall down while you're driving and cut your nose or something. I was just like, It was chaos,
It is
chaos.
And that was our normal. That was our normal back then.
That's what we had to contend with in the 90s.
Exactly. Yes. I needed to listen to Pearl Jam or Weezer, but also needed to get battle scars from it at the same time.
Yes, that's it. Exactly right. Yeah. Oh, that's hilarious.
So I think I read on your bio, did you move to Nashville in 2021? Is that correct?
We moved, the whole family moved February 2021 at the height of COVID.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. I had to sign a special permission to the Australian government to leave because the borders were closed. And we had a choice whether we were going to stay and ride it out, which everybody was, in 2020, everyone was not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. So we were meant to move March 2020, literally basically the week that everything shut down. So we were, our plans were kind of delayed, but I'm not going to kind of sit here and whinge about that because a lot of people were going through some horrific things. Whereas we just had to wait, that was really, but then it came up that, we have this opportunity. We've been approved to leave. And it was strange because it was like, well, what do we do? Do we go or do we stay or, what's at the end of all this? And, if everyone could remember in February 2021, no one knew how long it was going to be and whether we were going to go into more lockdowns or whatever. So we were just like, okay, well, we'll leave and just roll the dice. And we did. Mm-hmm. And we got to Nashville and it was a beautiful moment in our family's history, like as out with our two boys and my wife and myself. It was this kind of like catharsis of leaving Australia and all our friends and family behind, coming over to a whole brand new land where we knew basically no one. We knew a few people. I knew somebody who is now a good friend of mine, now my producer, and I work with him daily. But I'd met him 12 years ago when I came to Nashville as like a songwriter, and I came over here a few times, and that was kind of when I was late 20s. So I met him in a whole other version of my life, and and so when I came over here, the plan was to rekindle that friendship, or whatever. But at the time, it was like I had this person who was managing me at the time, and then those plans just fell through like that, or was a whole other story. So it was like we arrived to chaos. We arrived to this sort of uncertainty and with the pandemic, but also uncertainty as to what the hell have we done, kind of thing. Like, wow. So all the plans that we did have is now have gone away. Mm-hmm. It was a very strange and turbulent sort of time, but it was amazing growth period. But also for our family, we really, really became this really close and concrete family that nothing will break us. It was just such a beautiful moment. And my little boy, who was 2 at the time, my other boy is 7. They got to experience this whole other thing that a lot of people have. They'll be able to talk about that time, especially my eldest, who can remember it more than my 2-year-old. But my eldest, he can sort of look back on that time and go, wow, like that was that's something that I'll always talk about. I'll probably tell my grandkids, kind of thing, that crazy mum and dad decided to move at countries in the height of COVID. Yes, but they've seen the world now. We've traveled America these last 3 years, and like my song says, "Don't look back." It's definitely that's been the ethos of this whole experience. Is like you got to keep moving forward and trust that you can. If you trust in yourself and making those gut feeling decisions, then it feels like you're always supported. So that's what that whole was, adventure.
Man, have you lived somewhere besides Australia before you moved to Nashville?
No, not overseas. No, this is the first time. Well, I've traveled the world and everything.
You've seen the world,
been all over the place, and I'd come to Nashville a few times, but my wife had never been, my kids had never been, so it was like, we're moving countries and we're moving to a place that you guys have never been to in the middle of COVID. It was just like, the list went on. So the uncertainty was great, but my wife's a rock star and my kids are unbelievable. So, and it all worked out. It all really worked out. I get to do what I love to do, and we've got a mountain to climb, but it's incredible just being here at Music City. It's awesome.
What type of opportunities do you feel like exist to you in Nashville that didn't exist to you in Australia?
In Australia, I had a very good career. I had a very good, healthy name. I was, I guess I won Australian Idol many years ago.
Yeah.
In my 25, I think I was.
Okay.
But I'd been in bands before that, and I'd worked with Australian songwriting icons and people from In Excess, people from Cold Chisel, and and the list goes on. And it was I had a dream kind of career ever since I was 14. I've been playing in pubs and being in bands, and just done it, been out there, done it, toured Australia in a high ace van, did all the things. But there came a point where I felt like I needed to sort of expand and grow as a creative, as a musician, as a songwriter, as a performer. And I've always dreamt of coming to the States. I had a few opportunities to come in my early 20s to work with people like a guy that produced Joe Cocker, and I'd worked with Mac Davis, and I'd worked with a whole bunch of Jeff Baxter, and I had this sort of opportunity to come over and work with those guys. I was too young and stupid to understand what that opportunity really meant.
Course.
I met Joe Cocker a few times, and it was just super inspiring time of my life. But I, it was like a weird crossroads period of my life where I didn't really know what I wanted. It was like I was young. I'd been playing in pubs since I was 14. I'd sort of understood the industry. I knew the cats out there that were either good and bad, and I'd been through a bunch of stuff from an early age. So when I was 22, 23, I felt like an old man sometimes.
Yeah.
And so when those opportunities came, I was like, I really want to go to the States, but I don't know what that looked like. And it was almost like when I look back, it was almost like it couldn't have been written any better, because all the experiences that I'd had through music led to me to moving at one of the strangest times in history, with my kids and my wife. It was almost like I had to find them first in order to move in the direction that I want to go. It was like it's a kind of almost like a spiritual thing. It's something that feels like it was written in the stars. And so when I got to Nashville, I was like, right, I'm ready to get to work now. I kind of understand myself so much more as a songwriter. And I remember a very, very influential and successful, possibly one of the most successful managers in Australia, said to me when I was 14, he said to me that I'm going to have to wait till I was 40 to sing the songs that I was singing. And I guess that I had a lot of growing up to do. And so now being here and with a wealth of experience, I feel like I'm ready to kind of, rock the house. Yeah.
Now,
and also it's like songwriters, you've got everyone across the street,
Yeah, that's true.
It's crazy. This is the capital of music in the world, so it's amazing. Yeah.
No, I think there's I forget what I overanalyze like music and like albums and stuff a ton. It's what I do in my free time. I feel like you've got your first album in which you have however much of your life has been then to write. Your second album, you have a year to write an album. And then hopefully like your third album is actually who you hope to be. And then realistically, your fourth or fifth album is actually who you are. If you make it that far. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. yes, if you can make it that far, well done. And
Yes.
and I'm proud to say I have, and it's like that. Yeah, it's the first records, especially when you start really young. There's a lot of perception and expectation that you pour on yourself first, and then if you're turning heads when you're a kid, industry or people or whatever, there's this certain feeling of like, oh man, I'm gonna like, I don't know, I don't even really understand myself, but I understand this. I understand. I have no idea who I am, but music is kind of is this thing that I have that can either get me attention or make me loved, and and all of that stuff. But you don't understand it until you walk through the fire, and then you come out. Whether you come out going, I hate this, I'm going to do something else, or whether it enhances you in some way. And and I've walked both those paths. So yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your kids. I know you said you have 2 sons. How old are they now?
Now they are my little one's 5, just about to turn 6 on the 1st of June. And I can't believe that he's growing up so fast. And then my 11-year-old is, speaking of a 40-year-old trapped in an 11-year-old's body, he's definitely that. He's amazing. He's everyone who meets my boy Willow is just like blown away by the level of conversation that he can hold. He talks about, like, we just did an RV trip across the country, and he would talk about Marfa and Lubbock and places in Texas that some of these adults that are talking to him have never been, and they're like, who is this kid? So like I'm super proud of both of them. They're, we named Jackson Cash Carr. We named Jackson before we even knew that we were coming to Nashville. And it's the most Tennessee name ever. Jackson
It is very
Cash.
Tennessee, yes.
So I blame him, really. So my boys are just insane. I learn from them every day. I learn a lot about myself. They're like little mirrors.
For better and worse. For better and worse, yes.
For better and worse. That's right, my friend. That is right. Absolutely.
My 2.5-year-old is just now like in the extreme repeat everything you say phase.
Oh, beautiful.
And so now I'm constantly aware of how many annoying things I say on a daily basis. Where my wife will be like, well, I know where he learned how to say so cute. It's because you look at our son and say so cute at everything he does. So I just hear random attempts at compliments.
Oh, I love it.
Spoken all the time.
I love it. Yeah. No, that's I can relate to that, my friend. I can relate to that. Yes.
When you go on tour, do you take your sons with you all the time, or is it just like special occasions that they come out with you?
Well, lately it's worked out that way that they've come along to almost everything that I've done, because I just wanted this experience for me is much as their experience. You know, it's like I want them to see the world, and there's no better learning in my from my there's no better learning on seeing places that off the beaten path. I mean, Luckenbach and all those, and Marfa and all those places that like you just wouldn't sit down at the laptop and go, okay, well, where are we going? On holiday, like you wouldn't. So I'm really kind of proud of us that we've done that. But we recently went to Austin for South by Southwest. They came along for that, and like they were a little bored. Like, let's face it, they were sort of like, yeah, whatever. Like they'll think it's cool later.
But not now.
Yeah, dude, where's the roller coaster? Like, where's the beach?
Where's the playground at South by Southwest? Where's the slides?
Exactly. Yeah, where's the pool? Where's the pool? So we're still water babies. Like, we grew up. They both were very used to surfing and being at the ocean when we were in Australia.
Yeah.
And so living in Nashville, obviously landlocked, we don't have the ocean.
Yeah.
So it was great to take them to Miami, and we got to get our ocean fix there. It was really nice. But and then if I'm off to LA, I hope to take them just purely because of the Pacific Ocean. It's just something that it's really strange. Like when you're standing on the Pacific Ocean in LA, how familiar it is because of it's the same. We share, Australia.
Yeah.
It's a very similar sort of aspect, and I don't know, it just feels like Australia. So that was kind of nice to have them, and they both had a surf in Malibu, which is really great.
Cool.
Like, man, it's just like crazy just talking about their lives. It's like, what? Like, how did I do that? How did I do that? How did I get? It's amazing, like to be able to talk about them having this crazy. Like what we all know is this like lifelong experience that, for whatever reason, if we had to, I'm not saying we're going to, but if for whatever reason it was like, no, you have to go back to Australia now forever, I'd be so proud. I'd be so proud of us to know that we've given them this experience and this kind of outlook on life, and that the world isn't just like the small little window, which can happen if you live in a small town in Australia, or, not that there's anything wrong with that too, by the way. I encourage that almost, but yeah, us artists have to sort of keep growing and keep searching, I guess, traveling the world.
Yeah, no, I'm from southern Indiana, so Midwest, and like I have a lot of friends who like never moved away or anything like that. And there's this constant like tension of like, it's hard not to feel elitist whenever you talk about it, because you are like, hey, just leave your surroundings, go find anything but this town, because the world is so big, and how you've defined it is just a definition of the world. So how do you put yourself in positions to expand your definition, basically? And whenever Australia's an island, and you can possibly never leave that island. You can live in Nashville and never leave Nashville. So how do you keep that, I guess, hunger, that curiosity inside of you to just realize how different the world is defined besides how you define it? And I just hope and pray that we all get opportunities to do that, because it makes you more empathetic, more curious.
Yes,
and
exactly right.
Makes you kinder, basically.
It does. Yeah. My grandfather, a lot of my family actually haven't left their their 5 mile radius.
Yeah.
He retired and just never left. And, it doesn't, as you said, it doesn't make you you got to expand life is all about growth, and, you got to expand your outlook. Otherwise it would just, you sit there and it'll eat you alive, I guess,
It can. I think whenever I go into a situation and I feel like I know the answer already, I'm not good at listening. I'm not good at paying attention to little details. I'm just waiting for my opportunity to be right. And that's not a good version of me. That doesn't make me good. That's not good to be around.
No, don't. I can't do that. No, don't do that. Yeah, that's. Yeah, absolutely. You're spot on there. Yeah.
But I do feel like as you get older and you have kids, like in your 20s, it's harder to acknowledge what opportunities are in front of you. But like kind of what you just said of if you guys end up moving back to Australia or anything like that, it sounds like you are confident that you capitalized on the opportunities you had in this adventure. Where like 10 years ago, you've probably been like, man, who knows? I did what I did. Like intentionality is so drastically different once you have kids.
Exactly. And, I think as artists or musicians, you're very, especially now, slash what it was back in the like early 2000s or late 90s, artists, musicians, for me, I've always struggled with kind of being, the business as well. So there's this the artist side and the business side, and for artists, like what you said about, if I went home, I would be happy. Like, yes, we did capitalize on the opportunities. Now, opportunities being in Nashville and America is obviously because I'm closer to Music Row, and I'm closer to songwriters, and I'm closer to musicians, and although I love to write my own music, I love to collaborate, and I love to collaborate with everyone, especially here. You'd be mad not to.
Yeah.
But I think really what makes all that or gives all that the secret sauce is life. Life. I mean, that I think we forget as artists that actually you've got to live your life in order to create. You can't be sitting on TikTok all day scrolling through and trying to, you can't be just like scrambling all the time in order to create, because as soon as you start to scramble, everything's just going to be completely fragmented, and there's not going to be any kind of message that people will grab onto, because people want to feel safe. They don't want to feel like, oh, there's a bunch of scrambling messages that may suit my scrambling messages. It all feels a bit all over the place. Whereas, like, to live that and experience real life, maybe put your phone down and walk out in Marfa, Texas, if you can, and look up at the stars, like I did last year. Yeah. And it's just wild and amazing. And you're like, wow, this is what real life is. And you tend to sometimes forget that in your everyday scrambling of emails and TikTok and noise. And I think with being a dad, like, man, what a challenge we have these days with all sorts of shit online that you go, oh God, it's like you're up against it every day.
Basically, yes.
Every day. And trying to work out how to communicate to a person. I think our generation is so challenged in so many ways because it's never been like this before, with this all this information. Like, the world, obviously, it's a cliche, but world is at your fingertips. And especially for my 11-year-old, it's like his head is spinning with some of the stuff that he's shown at school or friends and things that you don't have any control over. And I just always come back to the fact that, like, real life is this touch and feel it, if you and reality, and grounding, and that's what makes us humans tick at the end of the day. And art, and real music and real art is always based upon real things. And so, I went off on a tangent there, but that was.
It's a dad podcast. Dad tangents. If there's not a dad tangent, I haven't done my job well.
Dad tangent. That's a shirt. That's a shirt.
Oh, thank you.
I like that. You've got to do that. Yeah,
I'll work on it.
Let's go on a dad tangent.
Thank you. No, there's this, whenever it's already hard enough to know who you are as a person, to feel confident, to feel comfortable in your own skin. And then whenever you add internet, social media, all that, you basically are creating an avatar of who you are. And at 36, I'm still like, who's this avatar? Who's this other person? And who am I? Because there's a distance between the two of them. Like, there's you as a musician, as an artist, and then there's you as a dad and as a husband and as like a normal person. And like, there's always distance between those two. And then to put that responsibility on an 11-year-old to know how to do that also, that's only going to cause damage. Like, that's not going to, no.
Exactly. It's insane. It's truly crazy. And there's got to be some sort of like equilibrium with it all soon. It's got to be like, it's got to happen sometime. But what a time to be a parent. I mean, man, it's like the things that as we all know, that are online, whatever, and you believe, like, and at that age you just believe everything. You can believe anything, like, so it's that's hard to that's one's hard to navigate. But what I will say is that I think with that, having them come with me on the road or come and see real experiences and see shows, or my eldest was selling merch for a while there, but he was just like learning how to do it, like money and things, and like it was like, just sort of, obviously guided, but he learned so much about people, I think, in general, and how to, and he's got a good read of people, and he's really, so anyway, that's that.
What recording studios have you worked out of so far in town?
I have worked at Blackbird, RCA Studios, Studio A, and Soul Train Studios in Berry Hill. Yeah. A few in Berry Hill actually. And where else have I been? Yeah, I think they're the main ones. There's another few actually that I kind of went. I came and went. I did a few light sessions like that. Cool. It's just one of those things. But yeah, Blackbird, RCA, and Soul Train have been my main ones. Yeah, it's just been awesome. Very, very lucky. Very lucky. RCA is like Abbey Road's, America's Abbey Road. It's like amazing.
Were you in Studio A or Studio B?
Studio A.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and we got to spend 5 days there recording the new record.
Did you really?
Oh, man. Yeah.
I think that RCA Studio A has some of the, if you look at the list of albums that have been recorded in there, the amount of magic that exists in that room is like, I went to Belmont, so I studied audio engineering. So I've done sessions in like, I took classes at RCA Studio B. I did some stuff at Blackbird, and like those rooms have magic, but I feel like RCA Studio A is like, I've never been able to set foot in there. And I'm like, how do I get a friend who's recording in here? So next time you do an album, invite me so I can just see what that room is like.
Yes, I will. Okay, that's down. You're down. I want to do another record there. Definitely. Cool. It's like so the crazy thing about it is there's this like the Opry, the circle. You've got this kind of like this, like a square of floorboard that Dolly Parton, Johnny Cash, Chris Stapleton, like the list goes on.
Jason Isbell, Dawes,
Isbell.
Yep. I think Nickel Creek did an album there. It's just
Nickel Creek, Nickel Creek. That there is this square that literally everyone has stood and sung or played, and Philip, who works there, who's like one of the most beautiful people on earth. He's incredible.
Yeah,
Philip Smith. He's the engineer there. He literally lives there. He sort of kind of runs the day to day, but he's also the engineer there. And we got really close in those 5 days of recording that. And he was full of stories, but he was saying, like you're literally like you're singing your songs on that same floorboard as Jolene and I'll Always Love You was recorded in the same day, and just it's monumentous. And then it's like, hey, what sound do you want? And you can come up with any sound. The room is like it's full of like if those walls could talk, it's like that whole thing. Mm-hmm. It's insane. It's an insane place. I just could not believe I got to do that. I was like amazed. Yeah. So and everything was cut live. Everything was cut real and live and raw and at 10 o'clock in the morning I'm like screaming. But it just gave me this energy. Like it just gave me this thing of like I nearly fainted a few times. I was
Did you really?
Like, oh yeah, because I was just singing my ass off. Yeah. It's just like I was singing my heart out. Just like this is like something that if this all ends tomorrow, you're good.
You're good.
Yeah, I love this. Yeah.
This is a question I've asked other creative types before. I feel like whenever you're in your 20s making music, like the sweet spot is like 7 p.m., 8 p.m., something like that is whenever you feel like you've creatively come alive. Then you get in your late 30s, early 40s, and you have kids, and it's like 10 a.m., man. 10 a.m. is probably the best creative energy time that I have.
Yeah. I'm a crazy person. Please don't judge me, but I get up at 2 or 3 a.m.
Ooh, okay.
And that's when I start. That's when I start writing. I'm like on the electric guitar, trying not to make any noise, and I don't know, something about that time of day or night or whatever you'd call it. Basically, it's bizarre, but it's like everything's just like this. There's like a lot of airspace.
Okay.
There's a lot like it's like the old early bird gets the worm thing. Like you seem to lock in really. Maybe it's a little delirium. Maybe there's like a sleep state there that's kind of aiding your subconscious or whatever. But it's a pretty awesome thing to do. Like even if you do it like twice a week, I highly recommend because it just feels like you tap into something that you might not tap into at any other time of day.
Yeah.
And and that's how this album was written. It was like I didn't have the time. I don't really have the time during the day because I kind of, once I get like, independent artists, I'm like emails and all the things that, that crowd that 10 a.m. time slot. The school drop off is early, like 7.
Yep.
30, and then the crowding of all the stuff during the day, and then 2:00 comes along and you got to do the school pickup sometimes. It's
Pretty
just
much.
like,
yep.
yeah. And then you're like, and then when the kids are home, it's like, oh, well, and then it's 5:00 and 6:00, and then,
Yep.
and it starts to like, and then 10 weeks go past and you're like, oh, I've done 3 E chords.
I wrote one chorus.
Yeah. E minor and G.
There you go, man. Hey, it's a good start. It's a lot of good songs start with E minor and G, so you're not doing anything wrong.
No, I guess, but yeah. So it's just that, like, yeah. So when you get up that early, you're a bit more tired during the day.
Yeah.
I mean, coffee helps. Coffee helps, but yeah, that's sort of my jam at the moment.
Yep.
And, until I fall over.
Yep. No, I stay home with our 2.5-year-old, so he's literally taking a nap while we do this phone call right now.
Oh, beautiful.
And it's kind of like, drop off girls, leave our house around 7:30, go to a playground or the library with him in the morning, eat lunch, and then by the time he wakes up from his nap, I have to go pick up kids, and kids hopefully are asleep by 9 p.m. And then hopefully by then I actually talk to my wife and see how we're doing, So
remember me?
Yeah. And then it's like, okay, now be creative. And you're like, oh,
no.
I can. It's gonna be crap. I can try, but I will write you a song. I will the entire time be like, I'm not proud of any of the song parts. So that's how you find space. Yeah, you wake up at 2 a.m.
Exactly. And what will it be anyway? Will it be like, well, he had a good nap time today on the playground, yes. It's just like, what? Yeah. So
you've been mentally so in one mode of nurturing and taking care of stuff that suddenly it's like, now create something beautiful. And you're like, I'd maintain something beautiful today. Does that count?
Yeah. That's exactly right. And, actually, today I had an amazing chat with my eldest about just life things, and I was saying to him that like you are you're number one. You got to get that. You are my whole world. So everything else can wait. And you are the person that I need to now focus on, because there was something up with him and whatever. And so I was like, I need to know, because if you tell me, then I can help you, and I'm going through those sort of types of conversations at the moment. And it's like, I'm just trying, and I'm trying to work out what I wanted to hear when I was a kid, and it's just such a kind of a cool, really cool moment in my eldest going into kind of teenage land. Oh my God, it's like he's 11 and he's already kind of a teenager, to be honest. It's like, so yeah, it's going to be a wild ride, I can tell you now. But it's amazing, man, how much you, I guess, remember your part of yourself from back in those days. Mm-hmm. How hard and confusing and weird it all is. Everything changes and stuff. But it's those moments of taking that time to sort of get down on their level and just sort of look them in the eye and say, everything's going to be cool, everything's going to be right, and I'm here for you, And being a musician freaks me out a bit, because when people talk about, oh, well, you'll be on the road for this and that, what are the kids going to do? That's the first thing, But you just got to have your moments of, it's better now because FaceTime and whatever. It's not really the best, but it's better. And you got to have those the plans and the things dialed in before all that happens, and the conversation. I've always told my kids what's happening and what's going on, and making sure that they know. They've had to, because we move countries and things, so they have had to know what's going on. But so.
There's a line of logic that I don't know who's responsible for saying it, but I agree with a lot of, just because you're uncomfortable discussing with your child doesn't mean they will suddenly stop looking for the answers to questions. So the more you can lean into hey, we're moving
Yeah.
to a different country. Why? Well, I can't just say because I said so. That's not a good answer.
No,
That's
exactly.
not the answer. But what do I want to say in the moment? Because I want to. Like I want to.
Yes.
Sure, I want to cheapen the answer because it makes it easier because then I don't have to talk as much and like it doesn't make me as vulnerable. But you almost have to like look for those moments to be like, hey, I know you want to do TikTok, but like TikTok actually makes me a little scared as your dad. And let me talk you through like why I'm saying this, as opposed to just being like, no social media.
That makes it even better. Like if I was a kid, I'd be like, no, really? That means I'm going full, hands, feet, everything, diving straight into it, you know?
Oh, my dad said no, suddenly I lose all interest. That's not how it works.
That would be amazing.
That would be fantastic. Parenting would be a heck of a lot easier if that's how it worked.
How good would that be? That'd be incredible. Yeah.
It would be.
I know, man. Yeah. But no, we're very lucky as being dads. And then I think of my friends who tried so many times to have kids and never had them.
Yep.
And I'm so grateful that happened to me. It was just like crazy that, 25 years ago when I was singing songs on a bar stool when I was 17 and absolutely rogue, like complete bohemian. I never would have thought I would have kids. It was just one of those things I never thought of. But the right moment, the right time, and it's just been insanely enriching and just something that like I don't think anything else could give you in life. It's just like amazing to it's just such a spiritual thing, it's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
I think I think the scariest thing about having a kid, if you're honest with yourself, is you now realize how much love you're capable of. And like there's kind of some fear that comes with that of you have the smaller versions of yourself and you're like, oh, I love them so much that it scares me. I didn't know I could like, and I also was like an idiot teenager, and now I am in my mid 30s having 3 kids, and I'm like, I never thought there'd be a version of me that would be willing to stay home with kids and make sure and like nurture and take care of stuff. I didn't know I had this love capable inside of me, and now it's my day-to-day life.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Well, I want to make sure, let's talk about your new album. It comes out on the 26th, is that right? So later on this month?
April 26th it's out. It's called Music from Crazy Hearts. It was recorded at RCA Studios, Studio A, in 5 days. It was an incredible magic moment of my life. And it's a soundtrack to a documentary about my life and journey so far that will be out 2025. That will be possibly hitting, the major film festivals if we get our ass together. So that'll be happening soon. And man, like the album, I'm so, like you said, it takes a while for you to really put down on paper or on tape or these days on a digital format somewhere. Of something that crystallizes what you really wanted to say at the time. And this one was a real body of work where I sat down and kind of accidentally wrote the songs. Like it was like I was getting up at 3 a.m. with no plan, just writing songs because that was sort of what I do. And then it turned into, it's almost like it wrote itself. It turned into a body, a bunch of songs. So it's like, this feels like a whole record. And then it was approached in a very old school kind of manner of like not thinking about, song like singles or, what they call instant grat tracks these days, which is songs that come out on streaming before the album's released, Gotcha, not thinking about any kind of real strategy in that way. It was more like we're going to create an album and a body of work and then architect all the things around it. And so we ended up traveling through America in an RV for 55 days in the hottest summer ever. And we filmed everything because we knew it was going to be a disaster. And it wasn't really a disaster. It was like this most magical, crazy hearted experience, traveling from Nashville all the way down to New Orleans, all the way to Marfa, Texas, through Houston, Route 66 through Lubbock, Amarillo, and to LA and San Francisco and Vegas and Santa Fe and all those along the way. And we experienced America and we saw everything off the beaten track in those areas. The kids saw it all. We did the RV thing. The generator exploded. It was like 130 degrees Fahrenheit, whatever it was, most days. The hottest days on record. I was playing outdoors and looking back, sweating my ass off, and playing songs, and it was great. It was an insane experience. One of those things that you look back when you're 80 and go, "Wow, I drove an RV across America in the hottest summer ever." That was, and so we're going to use a lot of that footage and plus footage from us traveling over in the doco, but the music's going to be a soundtrack to the doco, but also the record is like everything that I've kind of experienced and learnt since being in Nashville. And it's really a journal entry of my life, and I'm really proud of it. I mean, the people that are involved are just bonkers. The people that I've got playing on the record, and I actually met a guy called Shannon. One of my favorite stories is I met Shannon Sanders, who's a very well-known artist. He's also entrepreneur. He's an incredible guy in town. I met him on the plane when we moved over, and he was just coming. He was just coming from the Gold Coast. He was in the Elvis film. He played the preacher in the Elvis film, so we had met on the plane. I didn't know. I just met him there was only 20 people on the plane because everything shut. So it was just me and the kids, and he came up and he says like, "Hey man, you got it." Something like they were, my boys were. It was COVID times, so we couldn't run around the plane or do anything like that. But my boys were like up and down. My boy was 2, so he was up and down, and
it's a nightmare.
And Shannon came up and he was like, "Dude, just rub his feet. He'll go down really quick." And I was like, "Okay, cool, all right." So I was like rubbing his feet, trying to get him to sleep. I was at that time. I was like, anyone got anything, plan of how to make this child sleep?
Please help me.
And so he was a gentleman for giving me advice. And then we met in LA at when we were at the airport, and he was like, "Hey man, I'm in the music business in Nashville," and I was like moving at the time. And it was really cool. It was like just this sort of chance encounter almost. And then so when I needed a choir on this record, I rang Shannon, and he came, and did this, was the choir director of the record. But I've got about 1,000 stories like that about this record. Like it was just almost like, oh wow, I can get, oh that's right, and it was almost like everything lined up and the planets aligned for this album to be made. And so I'm really super excited about releasing this one because I wrote, look, you come to Nashville and you write with other people. That's really the rules. And for me, I had to write this by myself in order to reclaim a part of me that I felt like I had lost in a way of being here and being kind of super, my head spinning, and few nasty jokers around town, but there was some real angels as well. And so I've walked through the fire a bit while I've been here and found my place in the world and found incredible people. And this town is insane like that, where people just rally around you and and just help out and just like want to kind of make things, which is I love, So I'm very blessed in that way. Not a lot of people get to do that. A lot of people, come to towns like Nashville, London, Sydney, wherever they move to, they get burnt straight away, and then they're home with their tail between their legs going, "I'm never going to." Whereas we couldn't do that. Like we had to. I had to stick it out and find my people, and it took a little bit. Didn't take too long, to be honest. And it has been really, really incredible since. So so this album's kind of like the Phoenix. It's like the first album I feel like I've created that's been on real good terms and something that I'm proud of.
You were nice enough to let us listen through, or your PR team gave us the album. And when the gospel choir came out, I was like, whoa. You have a gospel choir just casually in this album?
Yeah, man. That's right.
I was like,
That
you also
thing woke me up. That thing woke me up.
Yeah. Whenever you said you're at like 10 a.m. screaming on a song, I'm like, I bet that was the songs with the gospel choir. Because how can you not just be in the moment and feel that energy with that behind you?
Do you know that the like in movies, like in sometimes in cheesy movies, whatever, you'll see a guy waking up out of bed and it'll go
Yeah.
and the thunder and lightning. Literally that scene, I woke up and I heard God have mercy.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is that? And it must have been a dream or something. And I was like, oh, right, coffee. I get it. What is that thing? And literally, that's how that was done. And I just had to fumble around and work it all out and get that out. And I thought, like, you know, when things like that arrive, you go, is this any good? Like, is this something that I'm just trying, like, because it happened that way? Is it like, am I like crazy? Like, am I just sort of now? Am I hearing things now? Am I crazy? You know, all this kind of things. And then when somebody like Shannon comes on board and goes like, yeah, man, we got to get a gospel choir and I'm getting the best singers and blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, good. It's like kind of cool validation because when you're like, I must say, when you're at 3 a.m. writing some songs, you're on your own, man. No one's going to be. So it's only you and your craziness. There is nothing else.
Yes.
Yeah. Your madness. So, that's.
I think any creative type has that moment of like, like you wake up from a dream or something like that and you immediately frantically jot down your idea and then you go back to bed and you wake up and you're like, who was this person? Who wrote this idea? And then you're like, do I share this? Do I not share this?
Yeah.
And then if your subconscious keeps working on it, then I'm like, okay, that means I need to share it. But if my subconscious forgets about it 5 hours later, I'm like, must not. I'll come back to that one a different day. I'll be fine.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, I don't know how I even got to be doing this. It was just like, for me, like writing songs came out of a period of my life where, you know, I guess like, it's almost like a story that you know so many people have, but you know, like my mum and dad split, and all of a sudden I'm you know writing and singing what I felt more so than talking about it, you know, as a teenager, and so it came out of this sort of almost like sacred sort of part of me. So I struggle with the writing songs like. That's like writing songs about a chair or whatever. I struggle with just like I have to really go inside the depths of my soul to like drag these things out, you know. And it's an intensity that I love to do, you know, love to be involved with. And so then with this album, I kind of almost like attracted the people that like to work like that too. So all the players. You know, some of them are used to kind of just doing sessions and stuff around town, but it was like, no, you're staying the whole day.
You're not coming in for 3 hours. I'm paying the day rate. You're going to be here for the full day.
And you get to hear me jump around and scream for like, like all and it was really great because it was like everyone just kind of really got involved with the record, like got around it. And then all of a sudden, like day 2, they were like. Literally they're 15 minutes early at the studio door just waiting for it to open. Like
that's awesome.
It was like old school. It was almost like, you know, when you were like you had your first high school band and you that feeling of like, oh man, I can't wait to like go and jam with my friends
we're doing
again,
something
you know?
here. Yeah.
It was that feeling and I'm sure everyone else would say that. And you know, and turning up to work every day at RCA, you know, for those 5 days was a dream too. So that made it easy too. So it was cool. It was really cool.
And already, like we've said, RCA Studio A, you almost feel like you have to be reverent to walk into that space. So like, you know, whenever you walk through that door, you know, it almost like dawns on you what you're doing, like in a good way. Yeah. Like, oh man, I'm here. I'm at RCA Studio A. I'm recording this album. Let's do this. So you like, you show up more, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it.
Yeah, you do. You really do. It is a part of history. It's like a museum when you walk in there, and and yeah, to think that like a lot of those, countrypolitan records, the sound, that was created in those walls were like, it was just magic. And you can definitely you could definitely feel it. Like when you're there, you can feel this sort of energy that I don't think I remember going to Sunset Sound, and working in LA there for a while, and I remember having a similar feeling, in Studio 2 where, Purple Rain was made, and you're just sitting there console, and you feel like it's not about the perception of the record either. It's like there's something about it, and in Studio 1 at that same Sunset Sound, the Doors and but all the story and the history of these places were just old like mechanic houses before like Disney bought that and turned it into a studio. So I love the evolution of these places that were also so iconic that created these incredible records that really influenced pop culture and almost like the way we think about things, and so it's, I don't know, just pretty cool to be able to be a small, very, very small part of that. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is. Well, I'll probably start wrapping down the episode. You and I could probably talk for another hour about recording techniques and how we think music lives in walls. So we'll have to meet up sometime at RSA Studio A so I can just sit there and stare and gape and be in amazement.
Yeah.
So how we like to end our episodes is we ask every guest the same 5 questions. And you'll have time to think about them. It's not like a rapid fire thing, but just like 5 simple questions that are kind of fun to get answers from every guest.
Okay.
So the first one is, did you have any backup names for your 2 boys? Like, did you have any names that you almost named them? Like that were like, this named them this, no, this named them that. What were your kids' backup names?
To be honest, we didn't, man.
That's cool.
We did. They're strong, both very strong forces. And I kind of had this weird belief that they almost like named themselves.
Yeah.
It's like it was Willow all along, no matter what, and Jackson Cash was always going to be Jackson Cash. And like I said before, we blame him for our Tennessee adventure.
It's surprising. There have been quite a few dads who have said that of like, no, this was their name. Did you have anything else in mind? No, it's their name. And I'm like, cool, that's awesome. That's sweet.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Next one, do you have a favorite TV dad?
Oh, man, you know who just popped into my mind when you said it? Possibly not a favorite.
Yeah.
But Tim the Tall Man Taylor was like...
He's a consistent answer, yes.
Oh, no, is he really a consistent answer?
Yep, he's a consistent answer. We've had him at least like 4 or 5 times. This one being like, Tim the Tall Man Taylor. Of course.
That is insane. Yeah, there you go.
It's either like him or the dad from like Full House or Family Matters or like Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So a lot of that, you can tell all of us were clearly raised in the 90s is basically all it really tells us.
Oh, yeah. Oh, isn't it hilarious? Wow.
Next question. Do you have a least favorite kids show? Like whenever your kids put it on, you almost like leave the room and come back whenever you know it's done?
I have so many.
You can do your top 3. You can do your top 3.
Well, some of these YouTube families, I don't want to name.
Yeah. Yep.
I can't. Sorry. Next. Coco Melon is not really I'm not a fan. Which I'm kind of, I feel like we've grown out of that now, which is great. That's literally, I mean, that they're the kind of I know I'm missing a big one here, but it's just like because my memory just erases anything that's sort of too overwhelmingly bad.
Yep.
So yeah, there's another one I can't think of it, but they're those 2. Let's go.
I'll take it. I mean, Coco Melon is like Coco Melon is like the most like awful for your kid's attention span, awful for entertainment.
Yeah.
Like everything about it is like there's no substance to any of this.
I had to ban a lot of that online stuff. I just banned it because it was just like, no.
Nope, I'm good.
And I'm so glad I did, man. Like, I'm so glad there's no group chats in our household. There's no it's just it's pretty like look, it's strict. Like, but compared to some of my friends, but I'm just like, no,
I'm good.
I can't do it. Yeah.
Next question. Do you have a favorite kid's toy? Like whenever your sons play with it, you also enjoy playing it with it also? You could also do an activity as well.
Yeah. Well, we just started baseball in our house.
Oh, fun.
Which is massive because being Aussie, it's cricket, right?
Yeah.
And so my youngest is both of them, but my youngest is a crazy cricket player. I don't know where he got that, like because he hasn't grown up with cricket, obviously being in the States. But yeah, so we're playing a lot of baseball at the moment, and I bought a glove and learning all about baseball. So it's just for us, it's for me it's different, which is pretty awesome. All the American sports, really, like American football, all the things I've had to kind of almost learn from scratch again. So yeah, it's kind of turning into a favorite thing.
That's cool. And last question, moment of your kid's life you're most excited to be a part of?
Wow. Wow. Most excited to be a part of. I mean, like you're like that I'm in the future or just
in general, like, is there a moment from the past where you're like, this is really cool, this got to happen? Or is there like a future version of them where you're like excited that they will get to experience something?
Okay, well, Jackson was born in water. It was an all-natural birth in water. Like Shah is like literally superwoman.
Yeah.
No drugs, and he was 9 pound.
What?
Something. Yeah, they're both massive boys. Both like 9 pound.
Your wife is a superhero.
Yeah, that was crazy. Like I can't remember. Like I can't now. It's close to 10 pounds. So they were both really, really massive, and she's 5'1". So
oh my gosh,
frame,
yeah,
small frame, big baby. And she naturally birthed him in water, and he swam up to her.
What?
And as he swam, he took his first breath, like gasped for air, and then got straight on the boob. It was like, wow! Like, and her eyes were like completely black. So that for me, that was like the most like spiritual thing I've ever seen. That was just wild to me. And so for Jackson, that was a crazy experience, and also just like he's the most happiest kid you've ever known.
Yeah.
And I think with Willow, it's like he's just like this otherworldly being that is going to go on to become somebody. So I think there's going to be a crazy force in his life no matter what he does. And, I feel like he's going to be just this amazing person. So I think, when I look back on Willow, or forward for Willow, like it would be more like I can't wait to see him just really embracing who he is as a person, and my biggest goal is for both of my children to be the happiest they can be.
Yeah,
it's just happy. I just want to keep them happy.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure that they're happy no matter what they do, no matter who they are, whatever they are. Like no pressure. Just please be happy. Just follow your bliss and be happy. So those are the two kind of, and I love when I see my boys happy. Like I just love it when I see Willow like on his bike, riding around on his bike, and just and also his birth was the first birth, and who made me a dad. So like that was monumentous. Like that was like
absolutely.
Oh my God, what do I do now? I remember the first time driving him home from the hospital. Like what? And I think I drove at like 20 miles an hour the whole way home.
You didn't press the gas pedal at all the entire time.
No, it was insane. And then when we got him home, the storm hit, and we both watched the storm, and I had him like, and it was just like this crazy. Oh, this is my new life sort of thing. Like this, here we go.
Course. Yeah.
And then so many things that I'm super proud of both of them. They're crazy.
That's awesome. Well, I want to make sure to give you an opportunity for self-promotion. Also, if we want to like follow you on Instagram, all your music's on like Spotify and Apple.
Yeah.
What's your Instagram? You've got an album coming out April 26th. Promote yourself.
Yeah. Instagram is Wesley Dean Music, at Wesley Dean Music. My website, wesleydeanmusic.com. You can sign up to the website. There's vinyl, there's hats and all the goodies that you can find. And look, I'm on every streaming service, Spotify, Apple Music, and I'm even on TikTok. I'm everywhere.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, I'm everywhere. But I can't wait to start touring. So, and that should be coming up very soon. There should be dates announced soon. So
sweet.
Yeah. So check on my website. I think is possibly the main thing is to sign up to the website, wesleydeanmusic.com. That'd be great. Fantastic. Awesome. That's what keeps independent music alive. Yes.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Wesley, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, man. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for having me. Cheers.
Sweet.
I'll see you soon.
Thanks again for listening. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at the Nashville Dads and to subscribe to us on Apple and Spotify podcast. We record at New Light Podcast Studio and episodes are produced by me, Devin.